up close and personal with racers and people of interest in the motorsports world. It's In the Groove, brought to you by Blue Line Graphics. And now, here's your horsepower and performance host, Terry Bridges. Oh, what's going on, racers? You know, this is In the Groove, and I'm your horsepower and performance host, Terry Bridges. And what we do is we get up close and personal with racers and people of interest in the motorsport, in the world of motorsports. And tonight, we got a really cool guest who's going to be running in 2017 the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. And his name is Justin Childress. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're here. You know, I mean, first of all, how was your day at work?
It was all right. Pretty slow.
Yeah? Where do you work?
I work for Skagit Transportation in Quincy.
Okay. Now, where is Quincy at?
It's about 45 minutes away from Wenatchee.
Okay.
South.
So you're over east then. Okay. Wow. God, a lot of you guys are from over in the east side, huh?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few of us.
Wow. Well, you know, tell us a little bit about Justin Childress.
Well, I was born and raised in Wenatchee, right there with the racetrack. I grew up in the shop with my dad, working on cars right from the beginning.
Wow.
And I'm 26 years old, and I've been with my girlfriend Heather Clark for just over 4 years, and we have a little girl on the way.
Wow, that's cool. Are you excited about that?
Very excited.
Yeah. Now, how do so you found out the sex ahead of time?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Better way of planning for the future, I guess, so we know what kind of stuff we're looking to get.
Yep, I hear you. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You weren't disappointed when it was a girl, were you? A little bit, or no?
No, not at all. That's actually what I've wanted from the get-go. She wanted a boy, I wanted a girl. I thought it was a girl, and she was on the borders about it, but we're both happy about it.
Hey, you know what? As long as it's got 10 fingers and 10 toes and 2 hands, and that's the win right there.
That's really all we can ask for.
Yeah. Do you know what you're going to name her?
Her name is going to be Eleanor Louise Childress.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And the cool part about this is my birthday is June 19th.
Okay.
The expected due date is June 18th.
Are you kidding me? How did you plan?
And my brother's birthday is
that?
the 20th.
How did you plan that? Man, you couldn't have done that again if you tried, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Wow, that's cool. Well, you know, June 19th, so what's that make you are you a Libra or Sagittarius? What a Leo?
I am a Gemini.
A Gemini. Ooh. I don't know much about that. I've never been a big astrology guy. I mean, I like reading the horoscopes and stuff, but I don't.
Yeah, that's the fun part. But other than that, that's as far as I go into it. I see something that says, "Hey, Gemini, read this." Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever read the deals that say, okay, here's what a Gemini is. They are this and that, and they do this and they like that. Have you ever read one of those?
I have a few times.
Yeah. Did it match you? I mean,
for the most part.
Yeah, the times I've read mine, I'm like, boy, that describes that's pretty much me to a T. So it's crazy how that does work out sometimes. So
well, they got one thing right about me. I'm pretty hard-headed and stubborn.
You are. Oh boy. Well, now I guess that could be good and bad racing wise. Right?
This is true.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit from the beginning. So where did you graduate high school from?
Wenatchee High School.
Were you a good student?
Well, I had good attendance.
You had good attendance. Yeah.
It was it's pretty hard with the schedule that I had. It ended up pretty easy for me because I was in the shop 4 out of the 6 periods of the day.
And how did you manage that?
Well, I don't know how I managed it exactly, but come the second part of my senior year, they said, these are your only 2 required classes for the rest of the year. What else would you like to do? So I flat out told them I want to be in the shop as much as I can. So they found classes that I could take where I would be in the shop for the rest of the day.
Wow.
And it worked out really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who wouldn't want to be in the shop all day at school?
Right.
Right.
So so my shop classes were actually advanced welding, advanced power mechanics, advanced agriculture, and I had this really cool computer teacher for business computer applications, and I was his teacher's assistant, and he always told me, just go to the shop. So that's what I did.
Wow, man. Yeah, it doesn't get any cooler than that at all.
No, I don't think you can beat it.
No, you can't. Well, shoot. So when you did have to go to class, what subjects? I mean, other than the shop, was math your strong suit or?
I don't necessarily say math is my super strong suit because they tried to throw me into trigonometry and algebra 2, and getting into that I'm not so familiar with, but I really like the science classes.
Right. I would think geometry would be kind of cool, right? I mean, especially now. I mean, back then I probably wouldn't have because I wasn't into racing so heavy, but now it would be really cool. So
right. Well, it does help a lot with engines, valve geometry and everything like that.
Sure. Now, were you an athlete? Did you play sports?
No, not really. I played hockey until I think I was 14, and that's about it.
Okay. So nothing in high, no football or basketball or.
Nope. I pretty much got home from school and wanted to work on the race car.
Boy, yeah. I could see that. I could see that big time.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me go. Did you go to prom?
I did.
Who'd you go with?
Her name was Erica Phillips at the time.
Did you think she was the one?
Had thoughts about it. We dated for 2.5 years, but in high school, it's high school love.
Sure,
you never know.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. So wow, and so you basically dated her pretty much through your high school career, then, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And did it go? Are you still friends today?
We see each other once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Was it just one of those things where you were like, hey, I'm just too young for this? And, I mean, is that how it kind of parted ways?
Well, actually, after high school, I went off to college.
And where'd you go to college at?
Universal Technical Institute in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. And what year was that?
That was 2009, 2010.
Okay. And were you top of your class?
Yes, I was.
Yes, I was, he said. Yeah. And what were you studying to be?
A mechanic.
Okay.
It took auto, diesel, and industrial technology.
Mm-hmm. What's industrial
got my
technology?
Automotive associate's degree. And I had a 4.0 GPA, a 99.8% attendance, and a whole bunch of student of the courses and director's lists. And I actually am a part of the Alpha Beta Kappa National Honor Society for that school.
Wow, man. Wow. Well, so
I ended up doing 2 years worth of school in 4 days short of a year.
You run that by me one more time. You did how much school in a year?
2 years worth of school in 4 days short of a year. For 7 months, I was going to school for 14 hours a day.
So 361 days, you did 2 years of school.
Yes.
Wow.
I did classes in the mornings and evenings.
Dude, you were a go-getter.
I was busy.
Yes, you were. So did you party while you were down there or no?
I didn't have any time to. The most I did was I went for drives in the desert and hung out at a couple friends' house.
Yeah.
Here and there, and that's about all there was time for.
Were the girls cute down there in Arizona?
Not that I saw.
He said, not that I saw. Wow. Man, that's incredible. So I got a question. So what is industrial technology?
Over-the-road trucks, semis,
Okay.
reefers.
Got it. So you could work on the refrigeration systems and all that too?
Yes.
Wow.
And hydraulics was also a part of that class.
Interesting. Wow.
And that really applies to what I'm doing now because, it's a trucking company and we got reefers and we got semis and.
Right. So did you like that the best out of the school, or did you like, are you an electronics guy? I mean, what's your passion in that?
Well, they had these classes that I really enjoyed and the names give them away. And it was Hot Rod 1 and Hot Rod 2 and bolt-ons and Power and Performance 1 and Power and Performance 2.
Wow. Yeah.
Those were my favorite classes. We would build a small block Chevy 350 stock, throw it in a T-bucket, run it on the dyno, and see what kind of baseline numbers we get. And then we'd throw a bunch of aftermarket parts at it, cams, heads, intakes, try different carburetors, nitrous. They let us play around with that.
Wow.
Different exhaust systems.
Wow, that's cool.
And we got to see the results of, what upgrades do what.
Right. Man, that's interesting. That's real interesting. So, are you any relation to Josh?
He's my brother.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. He's a good guy, man. I met him a few years ago. He was over. He was at Wenatchee. It was. I think he ran the. It was back when it was the ARCA series, the ARCA Ignite 150 at Wenatchee. I'm pretty sure he was there. And nice, super nice guy, man. Really good guy. Interesting. Small world. That's crazy. Now, is he your older brother or younger brother?
He's 3 years older than I am.
Okay.
Well, technically, 2 years, 364 days.
Yeah. Now, are you guys competitive?
Very.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bet. So now, did Dad race? Was Dad a racer?
Yes.
And what's your dad's name? And
Wes.
Okay. Please don't say Richard. No, I was just kidding. And what did he race?
Well, the funny part about that, Richard is my middle name.
Is it really? Justin
Yep.
Richard Childress. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, did your dad race late models?
No, he never made it to the late models.
Okay.
I'm sure he wanted to.
Sure. But it was mostly the mini stocks and street stocks, or?
Well, he started off in Thunder cars, and I think he did that for 4, 5, 6 years. I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
And when the mini stocks first started in 90 in Wenatchee, he raced a Vega.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And then in 92, he built the Mustang, and that's actually the car that my brother drives now.
Okay. Well, your brother at one time had a late model, didn't he?
Yeah, someone threw him in their late model, the Walters, I believe it was.
Okay.
He's raced the late models. He's raced in the B mods, Thunder cars. He did pretty well in the Thunder cars for a year or two.
Now what are the Thunder cars exactly?
His Thunder car was what year was that? It was like a 78 Malibu.
Okay.
Just a small block 350. And either a 4-speed or a power glide transmission. And it's just basically a street stock.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. Wow, cool. And now was Wenatchee, so obviously Wenatchee was the home track?
Oh, of course.
Okay. And then Ephrata when it was still there?
We've actually never raced at Ephrata.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We didn't do a lot of traveling until it became the Super Series.
Okay. That's interesting, man. So now, we're done with the school. We say, so when did your racing start? I mean, did you do go-karts or did you do quarter midgets or?
Well, I actually started when I was still in high school in 2007. And I started off in the Bump to Pass.
Wow, so no go-karts or anything. You just went straight to cars.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what Hector did too. That's crazy. Because I would think, especially coming from a racing family that, you'd think, man, go-karts, you'd be in there and a little kid, move up. Wow, that's interesting. And how did you do in 07?
Well, I think I did pretty decent. I mean, I bought the car for $50 and I just threw a bunch of safety equipment on it and gutted it and went out and raced it. And 07 is the first year I actually won my first race. And I remember it very vividly because the taxi car, if anybody watched the Bump to Pass back then, they knew the taxi car. And he was always the one to beat. He had lots of horsepower, wide tires. And I was using a stock Ford LTD.
Wow.
With a little 302.
Dude,
and,
that was a tuna cruiser. Wow.
Yeah. And I was using old Thunder car takeoffs that were 7 inches wide, maybe 4 years old, weather cracking and stuff. And I don't know how I beat them, but I did.
Now, were those slicks? I mean, were they actually racing tires or were they?
They were half treaded.
Okay. Interesting. And so you beat the taxi. And do you remember who was driving that?
I believe his name was Mike Charles.
Okay. Wow, how cool. So you actually had to nerf him to get by, right?
Oh yeah.
So the LTD took out the big what was he driving?
I don't even know what kind of car it was. It was a big car though.
Like a Lincoln?
Yeah, about that size.
Wow. Holy cow. And so how does that work? You get 20 laps and you go around for the 20 laps and it's Bump to Pass and that's how you go, or do they I know like at Portland they kind of had a deal like that, but the flagger kind of decided who was putting on the best show and then he'd wave the flag for them and the one to go or whatever.
Well, they'd give us a certain number of laps. Usually it's right around 25 to 30 laps.
Mm-hmm.
And if in the first 2 laps, you couldn't make any contact. And after that 2 laps was up, it was game on. If you wanted to pass the car in front of you, you had to make contact. It was up to you whether you just wanted to do a bump and run or take them out.
Wow.
And obviously the favorite was just a dump and run.
Right. Especially going in, right? Catch them on the left rear and turn them around.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Or down the straightaway. That's where I got most of my hits was down the straightaways because I, stock 302 with the wrong gearing. I had no power. I had no straightaway speed at all. The speedometer still worked in it. And my highest speed that I saw was 50 miles an hour.
Holy cow. That's crazy. So where did you end up overall in 2007?
They were more of a traveling class.
Right.
So with them traveling and coming to Wenatchee, I think they show up 4 or 5 times. I ended up 7th or 6th, somewhere in there.
Okay. Wow. Cool. That's not bad for your first year and $50. I mean, how do you beat that?
Right.
Yeah. So obviously now you've gotten more wins than just that one, correct?
Oh, correct.
So tell me, what has been your biggest win? The one that's meant the most to you?
The first time I traveled over to State Line Speedway with the Outlaw Compact Group.
Okay.
That was my favorite time, because it was just me and two other Wenatchee cars. It was Alex Ludeman and Tom Ripley. And we went over there just to have fun, just because we could.
What year was this?
I think it was 2011.
Okay. State Line. And what made that so special?
Well, it was my first trip to do a race on my own by myself. It was I loaded up the car and the trailer and all the tools, and me and Heather jumped in the truck and we drove all the way to State Line. We met up with everybody over there, and I did some practice laps. Everything went just fine. We did time-ins. I got fast time, and the other two Wenatchee cars got second and third. So we were doing pretty good. I was pretty excited. And then come main event time, I was really nervous because I was starting real far in the back of the field.
How many cars were there?
I remember counting them, and I think I got up to 26.
Wow.
It was a good field of cars.
Yes.
There was a lot of fast cars.
Yes.
I've ran with them before in the future. So I knew them all. We were all friends, and it was just a real good time on the track. Lap 2 or 3, there was a big wreck in 1 and 2. And I just remember everybody's going high, so I'm going to go low, and everybody's piling up. And I've seen in my mirror the two Wenatchee cars are following me right through this wreck, and they both get taken out, and I didn't get touched.
So the hole was closing as you went through it.
Yep.
Wow.
I made it, and they didn't.
Wow.
So that ended both of their nights, and I ended up winning that race, and I ended up lapping everybody up to 5th place. Dude,
so you were rolling.
My car was hooked up that night.
Yeah.
And on the outside, too. I don't think I passed one car on the inside.
I love it. And that's because nobody goes, they'll all just try to, that's why there's always all these wrecks, because everybody's trying to, nerf their way in because they're trying to get on the bottom. So, man, that's cool.
Right.
And they're fun to drive when they work like that, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. You can just put it anywhere you want, and it sticks, and it's just, wow.
Yep.
I didn't think this car would do that.
Yeah. They're fun to drive when they're like that. And then there's the other
Absolutely.
nights. Have you had the other nights too, where?
Perfect example is the Yakima race last year. The championship night, the second day when I started on the pole, I took off and I just didn't want to look back. I went as fast as I could for as long as I could. And I think it was lap 26 out of 50. I had absolutely no rear grip at all. None. I couldn't even think about touching the throttle.
Tires were gone. Run the tires off of it.
Yeah, and I set it up a little bit loose just because I can work with the car being loose. Being tight, it really angers me, and I can't work with it that well because I don't like waiting for the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just did the best I could, and I still ended up, after Tech, I ended up second.
Wow, but you finished third?
Correct.
Wow. Dude, sounds like you.
And my brother was right behind me.
Wow, I'll bet that was how is that? Is that a good ride home after?
That's a really good ride home.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet there's some nights where that's got to be a tough one. Wow. So what kind of chassis do you have?
It's I actually found out it's a 92 Fox body coupe Mustang.
Okay. And do you do your own chassis, or is Fox one that's a manufactured one?
We actually got it in 08. We bought it from this guy, I think his name was Dick Boness Jr. And I didn't find out who built it until a few years after that. at Yakima when Randy Butler came up to me and was like, "This car looks familiar." And turns out he's the one that built it.
Wow. That's kind of cool, isn't it? And did he get to tell you a whole lot about it?
He didn't tell me a whole lot about it, other than he wanted to buy it.
Buy it back. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted that car back.
Yeah. Sometimes you get those cars that are just dialed. And what motor's in it?
The 2.3 liter single overhead cam Ford.
Okay. So is that like a Focus motor?
No, it's a Pinto motor from back in the day, or a Mustang.
Okay. Cool. And do you do your own engines, or do you have an engine builder?
I build them.
Okay. That's cool.
And technically, it's not a 2.3 anymore.
What is it, a 2.4?
2.6.
2.6, okay.
It's our rules say we can't go over 2,600 cc's, and right now I'm at 2598.9.
Wow. And what does that work out to be cubic inch-wise? Do you know?
You know, that's a good question, and I think it's somewhere around in the range of 148, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
Sure, that's cool. That's cool. Interesting. And do you have a crew on the car?
Yes.
And who are they?
Well, it's my dad, Wes, and then we got another friend that helps us out. His name is Rob. He's a cool guy. And then once in a while, my friend Cameron will help.
Okay. Once in a while. How come? Does he work or something?
He's going to school in Pullman. He's a Coug.
Okay. And so you got jobs for these guys? I mean, you got it dialed in? Does Rob do the tires, or how does that work?
It's pretty much somebody sees something that needs to be done. And they just do it. It's not. We try to keep it simple.
Okay.
You know, we're not there to be strict and this is what we need to do and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a mini stock. We're not here to be late models. And
so you don't think that if you ran a mini stock like a late model that you would be faster or better?
Well, absolutely. I'm positive that we could be faster if we did that. I mean, perfect example this last year is Kenny Wade. That's what they do with Custom Fab is race cars, and they run late models and legend cars, and they're pretty scientific and they're on the ball about every little detail. And they're one of the fastest mini stocks I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But we're more in it for the fun.
Okay. And
relaxation. You know, it's a time to get away. It's like a mini vacation.
Sure. And you know what? And as long as a guy knows that going in, that's awesome. Right?
Exactly.
It's a guy that wants, he wants to treat it the fun way, but he wants late model results. It just does that. You're just not going to, this doesn't happen, I don't think.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, which do you like better? Loading or unloading?
Loading.
How come?
Just the anticipation.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. Frankly, I hated them both. But
sometimes you have those days.
Yeah, necessary evil, I guess. But
mm-hmm. So
now you've done your bump to pass. Now you're up into the mini stocks. I mean, I guess describe to me your what do I say here? Describe to me your ideal story. I mean, if you could have a storybook, if Justin Childress could have a storybook racing story, how would it be?
Well, it'd be a kind of a short story because I'm late model racing and cup cars and anything further up than your local home track racing. It doesn't really interest me that much. I'm still looking at mini stocks, thunder cars, legend cars. That's where I like to be. That if you get up any further than that, you got to start looking at really concentrating on the technical stuff and really getting into it. And to me, it just sounds like it's not as much fun. And that's what racing is to me, is fun.
And you know what, man? You know what? And that's very cool that you say that. I mean, that's there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I would, I just was thinking with all your school and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that you're, paying attention to the details and the little things. I mean, you do that. I mean, that's what you learned in school, course. Right? I mean,
yeah. So I'm not saying I don't pay attention to the details and get meticulous with things.
Yeah,
I still do that.
Yep, I get it. I know exactly what you mean, but I just think most people don't say that. I mean, I think it's cool. And you know what? And it's all right to be like that. I mean, that's
right. I don't want it to get too serious, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. Absolutely. Then it becomes a job, right? And
exactly. And it needs to stay a hobby.
That's right. And one job's enough, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, right now I got two, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of nixes my next question is because I was going to ask you where would you like to be in 5 years? But you want to be, do you have a dream? I mean, you want to win the championship, right?
Well, of course, that would be ideal.
Yeah. So what do you, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This year is going to be more playing it by ear. I know I'm pretty set on making the Wenatchee race because, of course, it's local. It's right there. All I got to do is load the car up and go.
Right.
Car's ready to go.
Wow, already.
So, and then after that, I'm just going to play it by ear. I would like to make it back to state line just because I really like that track.
Mm-hmm.
I like the people there.
Now, the series is going to run what? They're going to run at Evergreen, South Sound, Wenatchee, Yakima.
Yes.
And then where else? Do they run out of town at all? I mean, I guess that is out of town, over here.
Out of state. There's one race in Canada, I believe.
And where's that at?
Agassiz.
Never heard of it. Interesting.
I didn't either until the series brought it up on the schedule, and I was like, where's that at? And I had to look it up. But it looks like a really cool track, and it looks like a fun place to go.
Mm-hmm. And now, is it in BC, or where is it?
Yeah, it's in British Columbia.
Okay. Wow. So, is there anything that scares you about racing?
The wall.
The wall. Does fire scare you?
No.
Okay. Interesting there. Describe your dream car.
Well, that's a tough one because there's a lot of good ones out there.
Now, I'm going to assume I watched Kenny Wade run one time at it was at the Summer Showdown. And that's a full, that's a race chassis. I mean, that's a full tube chassis, right? With the fiberglass mini stock body on it.
Well, actually, the funny story about that is they invited me down to their shop in Richland one day to look at the car because everybody was complaining about it and everybody was saying it was illegal. And I figured, why not? I'll go down there, check it out, and see what the big fuss is about. So I went down there, and I laid underneath the car with either Chance Overholt or B.J. Tidrick. I can't remember who was under there with me. But we laid under that car for an hour and talked and looked at it. And there's as far as chassis goes with that car, there's nothing super special about it.
But it is all tube, right? I mean, it's a tube frame, right? They built the whole thing.
No, it's still a stock floor pan, stock frame rail car.
Oh, it is. Wow.
Yes. But they've added their little quirks to it, like they added the lead rails and little things here and there that make a big difference in these cars.
But it's all within the rules.
Yes.
Okay. So there you have it. I mean, so what kind of chassis, what kind of car was it? I mean, was it a Ford car?
Yeah, it was a Mustang.
Oh, okay. And they just hung a different body. Okay. Yeah.
It just looked pretty.
It did look pretty. And it ran pretty good.
It was a very good-looking car.
It ran pretty good, too.
Absolutely. Well, and that's where we go back to the knowledge of that team. That's what they do. They do race cars. They do late models, and it's not that hard to take that late model technology and smarts from setting them up and years of experience and move it over to the mini stock, because it's still the same thing.
Right. Now, are you guys allowed?
Are you guys allowed? Still got to turn left.
Yeah, exactly. That's stock car 101, right? So, now are you guys allowed load bolts or weight jacks or anything?
Yes.
All the way around?
Yep, weight jacks or screw jacks all the way around.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So what's wrong with that? I mean, shoot, lead rails, that's nice. You can slide the lead in and out, do whatever you need to do there. I mean,
put the weight where you want it and where you need it.
So let me ask you then. So is that was all the crying and complaining from people that were just wanting to have fun and thinking that it's illegal because it's too much work?
I wouldn't say that it's, how do I put this without stepping on toes? I heard a lot of people say that it's just too damn fast to be legal.
Don't you hate that? I when I hear that, I hate that, because why is it, why are you a cheater if you're fast?
Right. And back in the day, I remember this because we've been through this too when my dad was racing, because he broke the track record numerous times at Wenatchee, and there was a lot of people that thought he was cheating, but they didn't know how.
Right. He's fast, so he's got to be doing something illegal.
Exactly. If you're fast, you're cheating.
Yeah. And people don't realize that being fast is work. There's nothing easy about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my belief. If fast was easy, everybody'd be fast. So, you have it. What sounds like maybe one of them, but what are your pet peeves? What is it that you just cannot stand?
I'm going to say go ahead and dirty driving.
And describe what's dirty driving in your opinion. Just
track walking, running someone off the track in quarter number 2 at Yakima. I say that because that happened to my brother. And the retaliation on the track, I don't agree with that at all.
Meaning if somebody bumps you, you're going to go back and get them.
Right. To an extent, if they bump me and I can tell that it's like, hey, I'm here bump, that's fine. But if it's you're going to drive in the corner and not use the brakes and slam into me, that's when I get mad, but I'm not going to take you out.
Right. But you're going to remember it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next time I might not leave as much room for you.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to use up a little bit more real estate.
Yeah.
So now, is there anything about the series you don't like?
I think the only thing that I have an issue with is we're having trouble finding good tech people to look at the cars, make sure everything's illegal, and stand by the rule book throughout the season, keeping it black and white. This is illegal. This is not legal. You can't do that.
Yes.
And we're having a hard time finding a good tech person because of the severity of the different opinions that everybody in the class has. You got the front wheel drive cars going, oh, this is made for Mustangs and rear wheel drives. And then you got the Mustang and rear wheel drive guys going, oh, that rules to give the front wheel drives an advantage, or fuel injection. I know that they're having an issue with that. And just so many different opinions, strong opinions about every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it difficult to police the whole thing together.
Well,
and I think if everybody just came in together and understood everything and came upon an agreement, then it would be a lot easier to tech.
But isn't that what the rule book is for?
That's exactly what the rule book's for.
I mean, it eliminates all that. I mean, so if you've got a rule in there, I mean, you know, number one, you gotta check it. I mean, if it's
but
in the
there's a lot of people that don't like that rule.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, does it? I mean,
and that's what I'm not liking about it is people can't just, okay, that's the rule. I need to follow it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, I mean, you certainly can't blame the tech guy for that. I mean, it's like, hey.
And you can't.
I'm just following the rule book, you know. It is what it is. I mean, so, and it should be black and white. It either is or it isn't. And I would think. And, well, that's, yeah. And if they're not going by that, they're causing themselves a lot of grief. I mean, seriously, because it's the racer's job to understand the rules, and it's the tech guy's deal to enforce them, you know? I mean, that's just pretty simple. I mean, you know, that's why they got a weight rule, right? If you come in 6 pounds underweight, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue that.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's too bad. But hopefully they get it, and they will. I mean, you know, but yeah, I agree.
They will. And I've been talking to Jason Majors about it a lot lately, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be helping out with tech at Wenatchee. And I didn't necessarily.
Now, is that a conflict of interest?
Because it's a conflict of interest.
Yes.
But I have a good way to solve that. I have nothing to hide on my car. I have nothing to hide on my brother's car. So when I tech those cars, I invite everybody over and say, hey, look, this is what I'm checking. You can see for yourself that this is legal.
Mm-hmm. But
so that's my solution to that.
Yes. So is it that nobody wants the job just because of all the BS, or I mean, I would think somebody could tech those other than another racer.
Well, I'm not exactly sure why we can't find a tech person to stay. Well, I know some reasons, but I don't know the reason why.
Right.
I would be more than happy to tech on the races that I'm not racing, but with my job and the kid on the way and everything else put together,
yes,
it's hard for me to travel right now.
Yep, and I totally can appreciate that for sure. It sounds like you're
got to put the family first.
Absolutely, and you know, and it sounds to me like you're a big backer of the series, so that you know that's a real feather in your cap too. I mean, whether you make all of them or not, you're just a good advocate for them, and that's really cool.
Well, when a group can pull together this many cars and travel to this many tracks, it's always a good thing.
Yep.
Well, and everybody becomes more like family, and it becomes fun again.
You know, and a perfect example of that is maybe the answer could be kind of like I don't know if you follow that Ford Focus midget series that they have that Carlin and Gayla Stewart are using, but you know, they very rarely do they make a change without all the racers' approval. And,
right.
And
I see that. I see stuff about that here and there, but I don't follow it.
Right. But I mean, you do that, and basically, it relegates you. I mean, it polices itself. I mean, it's like, you know,
correct.
What do you mean? You agreed on this. You said okay. So what's the argument now? So maybe that's an answer too. You know, that's all. But it's okay. You know, that series is just getting going, and they're revamping it, and it sounds like they're doing some really cool things. So, who knows? Maybe a tech guy does show up. Just give it some time. I mean, I think it sounds like it's going to be an awesome series. So,
well, the way I see it, if we can't find a tech guy to enforce these rules, there won't be this series anymore. Because then everybody's just going to do what they want, and it won't be fun anymore.
Well, what's the difference between the Outlaw Compact and this series? I mean, are the rules that much different?
No, they're really not. These rules are actually based off of the Outlaw Compact rules.
Mm-hmm. And when I hear outlaw, I mean, I'm hearing, to me, that means, that's a lot of open stuff. I mean,
there is a lot of open stuff as it is, but you can always go further with these cars.
Oh yeah,
but you can only go so far till you're reaching Pro 4 territory.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to me, that's common sense, right? I mean, you pretty much anybody that's doing it, they know what the mini stock is supposed to be and what it's
exactly.
I mean,
and that's where a lot of the new set of rules, it's help. I see it helping policing the guys that are taking it too far.
Right.
Which, like perfect example. I'm not trying to pick on them, but bump stops. Kenny Wade's car was on bump stops at Yakima. I can't say that. I don't know exactly it was on bump stops at Yakima, but I'm pretty sure it was at Wenatchee. And now in the rules, they say no bump stops. And I mean, I don't have a problem with bump stops. I just don't know about them. And that's my fault. That's not their fault. But these are also mini stocks.
Correct. And, and there again, I'm just going to tell you, and not to change it but I don't know that bump stop stuff is it worth all the work? I mean, it seems like a lot of work for those things over the conventional stuff. I mean,
well, when you get it right, it's right. It works good.
Right.
But getting to that point, it takes a lot of experience.
Yep. And, yeah. I mean, setting them up is a pain in the butt. You got to drop the cross member on the ground, and, it's like, good grief. But, yeah. I hear you. That should not be mini stock stuff. I mean, let's face it. Let's call that what it is. Right?
Right.
Absolutely. So,
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
I'll stick with my big springs.
Exactly. I mean, because when you get those right, they're as right as a bump stop car, right?
Just about.
It isn't right. I mean, I guess that would be the main answer or the main question.
Mm-hmm.
But so you said so it'd be tough to describe your dream car. You don't in 5 years you're going to be racing mini stock still, right? That's
more than likely, yeah. Unless I somehow manage to make it into a legend car.
That's a dream of yours?
Well, I raced a legend car once. One race.
Mm-hmm.
They let me race it. And I didn't do that great, but I had a blast.
That's awesome. And yeah.
And I would really like to get back in a car sometime.
Yeah, that Garrett Archer does pretty good in them.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. He does pretty good in a late model, too. Well, so what's your ultimate plan, then, for 2017? I mean, with your daughter on the way, is it hard to say?
It's hard to plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to plan with that going on. And my ultimate goal for 17 is Wenatchee, State Line, and Yakima.
Cool. And how about sponsors? Do you have sponsors on the car?
Right now, no. I'm currently in the process of searching for those.
Right. And
if I find enough sponsors, then I will try and make more races, of course, because the funding will be there.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just not possible, I can only do what I can afford to do.
Correct. What's the tire rule?
If I remember correctly, it's Hoosier, Goodyear, or American Racer.
Okay.
And I think it's still only southbound cars can run American Racers.
Now
But
are they
I'm not positive on that?
Are they like do they have the tread in it, like a Comanche, like the Hoosier Comanches, or are they a slick?
The American Racer is an all-out slick.
Okay.
In the first year or second year they had the extravaganza at the Fall Classic, we actually bought a set and tried them. And I really enjoyed them until my car blew up.
Oh man. Yeah,
I've
always
had a lot of bad luck at Yakima.
It's always something, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
This last year, the last time I ran at Yakima was the only time I didn't have a single problem with my car, other than the starter was coming loose.
So as a racer, what do you hope other racers think of you like?
Well, I like to think that they think I'm a nice guy and a fun guy to race with, and someone that they can trust to race side by side for lap after lap after lap. And if a mistake is made, it's just dust under the rug.
Mm-hmm. You know what it sounds like to me, Justin? It sounds to me like you are just that.
Well, I try my best to.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen you run, but you definitely sound like that guy, for sure.
I try and keep it clean as possible.
Absolutely.
I really don't like body work.
And you know what? And I believe that. I mean, I really do. There's some guys, you listen to them and but you do. You sound like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. I'm so glad that I got a chance to talk to you, because it for me it's great, man. I love racers. I love racing, and and that's what I told McMillan. I said, hey, I want to help these guys as much as I can. Am I going to help a lot? I don't know if this is, but hey, man, it's good to. It's good to meet you and good to talk to you, and I appreciate your candor and your openness and everything. It's just been super cool.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, really, really cool. And talk to your brother. Ask him if he knows me, Terry Bridges. I'm pretty sure he'll remember me, but I liked him because I'm for the underdog, right? I kind of like the guys with no money that are working their fanny off to. Because without them, you don't have much of a show, right? I mean, you could, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hot dogs, it doesn't make that great a show. It's all the other guys that are, and everybody brings something to the table. That's what I say.
Well, of course.
I don't care if you're a lapper. You still are bringing something to the table. And the fact that you're even out there attempting it is, you get my credit, because it's easy to sit up in the stands and, say, God, geez, well, until you do it. Most people don't have any idea how much work it is. And so I commend you for that. I mean, that's pretty cool. Now, do you have a Facebook page or a website or anybody that the fans can get a hold of you at, or?
Just my personal Facebook page.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. And are fans encouraged to stop by there and like it and request your friendship?
Oh, of course.
Okay, cool. So that's just Justin Childress on Facebook.
Yep.
Okay. And what car number are you?
41.
Ooh. What do you now? How far back do you go? Are you back from the olden days? Wait, like back in the 70s? No, you're only 26. There was a guy.
Yeah, I'm born in 90.
You can do your homework on this one. There was a guy by the he drove number 41, and he was sponsored by Allied Plating in Portland. His name was Ernie Sturley. You should
That name sounds familiar.
You should check him out. he was very, very good. He was a damn good racer back in the day. So
I'll have to look him up.
Yep, Ernie Sturley was his name, and he had some neat cars, 72 Monte Carlos, and I mean he had some neat cars. So, well, hey man, sounds like I want to wish you the best in 2017 on the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. I'm gonna get this thing all set up and done deal, and I'll send you a shout so you can have all your family and friends and whatever listen to this, and it's downloadable for free, so you can certainly download a copy of it, or I'll send you one. And I just appreciate your time, and it was really, really cool talking to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
I had a good time, definitely.
Yeah. And we'll have to do it again. And be sure you spread the word about my show. It's on Wednesday nights. It's called the Northwest Race Report, and it's from 6:30 to 8. I would appreciate it if you would maybe check in sometime and just check it out and let me know what you think.
Hey, send me the info on Facebook, and I'll get right on that.
All right, dude. I appreciate it. Justin Childress, thank you, man. And like I said, I'll be in touch and let you know what's going down with it, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Justin Childress. What a great guy. Look for him in car number 41, the Northwest Mini Stock Tour. He said, I'm just here to have some fun. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Sounds like he's going to do quite well. Congratulations on the birth of his daughter, hopefully here coming up very shortly. Eleanor, that's pretty cool. So, Justin Childress, thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and good meeting you. Until next time, I'm your horsepower and performance host, Terry Bridges. And remember, if somebody's on the bottom, you got to go to the outside. Take care, everybody.